Good evening, Lizzie Boys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk about some more Monster High prototypes today because, again, this is just a topic that I really enjoy, and because the Monster High prototypes account has posted a lot more since we last made a video on this. We have a new type of prototype too, like one that I've never seen before, so I just wanted to dedicate a segment to that doll as well. And we also have some updated photos of the hand-painted Ghouls Rule Draculaura from the last video. Apparently, the person who owns that prototype actually did see my video, so thank you so much for, submitting, higher quality photos so we can see the individual brush strokes on the doll's face. So, we're going to be doing that today. Let's get into it. So the first prototype that I want to discuss is this absolutely legendary thrift find. Somebody found this Frankie at not a flea market, a yard sale. At a yard sale. We don't know the origins of this doll, but we do know that this doll is no ordinary inbox Frankie because when you take a look at the bottom of the box, you see this. Rest of legal here on bottom panel, please. This is an inbox prototype. The box is a prototype, it's a work in progress, and the doll is actually not secured in the box because the Frankie seen here was also used for these stock photos, which is just absolutely incredible. I personally cannot imagine just going to a yard sale and stumbling across this. That just seems so insane to me. It's just such a legendary find, and I'm glad that the person who got this resold it on eBay. Okay, not glad about that, but that's what the original seller did with it, so, who am I to judge? But still, hopefully the doll is in good hands. I believe we know who the owner is. I'll have to check. Okay, so this doll is currently owned by a Monster High collector, so she's in good hands. She's being well taken care of, which is very good. But yeah, this is just genuinely such an incredible prototype. I wanted to cover her. This next prototype may look like a standard honey swamp head with a hand-painted screening, but she's actually 3D printed and hand-painted, so it's two things. I never knew that they would hand-paint and attach wigs to 3D printed heads because I didn't know that they made 3D printed heads as, testers. The most that we've ever seen, the earliest drafts we've ever seen have been, those test shots that are made out of, different colored plastics and such, and this honey swamp does seem to fall into that category since the inside of her head is, this sort of purplish color. I'm assuming that it means that her skin is possibly hand-painted, although her scalp is the same color. So, we don't know. But this head is just very fascinating to me. It's actually owned by my friend Dolls for Dessert, and in their caption, they wrote that they originally thought that the honey was a wax head, because similar prototypes have been displayed at PR events, but this is a 3D printed head. So before the plastic head is cast in productions, companies will 3D print faces, and then Mattel's shop teams will sand and paint the base before handing over to the face painters to hand paint. And then the hair team will root a wig cap for them as well. So I was just reading that directly from the caption, but this is just genuinely very interesting. Again, this is the first time I've ever seen a Monster High prototype like this, being a hand-painted 3D modeled head with a wig. It's just interesting. It's interesting. But yeah. Anyway, did you know Honey and I share a birthday? January 28th. Pretty cool. The next prototype I wanted to cover is this Picture Day Operetta. I don't believe there's a whole lot of information about her, but we do know that she's hand-painted, which explains her very interesting screening. Her face looks very significantly different from the final doll, and I think it's the use of that sort of orange peachy color in her eyes. It seems to dominate her eyes and make her look like she has a different eye color than she usually does, even though it's just an accent. It's very interesting. Her mask is also hand-painted, being red instead of the black that it is on the finalized doll, which is interesting. I believe this doll was used for the stock photos, and if not, then she was definitely displayed at a toy fair or something. Overall, she's super pretty. Not that different from the final release, just in the mask color and the eyes. But overall, she's pretty cool. I have this Operetta myself, not the prototype, the released doll, and I like her a lot, so I can only imagine that owning this prototype of her must be way cooler. I really like her face. Again, it just looks very different from every other Operetta's face in terms of the eyes. This next prototype was actually mentioned to one of you guys by me in my comment section on the last prototype video that I made, and it is a test shot Snowbite doll where her dress is pink. and that seems to be the only difference. It's kind of bizarre. It's interesting for sure, but I use that word a lot. I don't know. This doll is just so similar to the finalized product. When we look at her, there's hardly any changes. The plastic used for her earrings and such is exactly the same. The only real significant difference that I can see is in the face, because this doll uses a 2013 reproduction Draculaura face. How can I tell, you ask? The black lipstick, and also the heart on her cheek isn't an apple. So those seem to be the only changes, but it's just, I don't want to say interesting again, bizarre. It's bizarre to me how similar everything looks, because the dress is basically the same, they just used a pink felt instead of the finalized green. But very interesting nonetheless. Our next prototype is this test shot of Clawdeen's Mall Monsteristas doll. She is so pretty. The face used is most likely Freaky Field Trip from what I've heard, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't fact check it, but I'm just gonna say it is. Her boots are this gorgeous light purple color, and her dress is white with this pink polka dotted material fabric in the middle. Her belt is also in pink. It's just super cute. I like this color scheme. I really like those light purple boots much better than what was actually released with her. It's a gorgeous boot mold, but I'll admit, the finalized Clawdeen is nice, but I really like this one a lot. Whoever owns this prototype is one lucky bitch. I will rob you. I will find you. That's not a legitimate threat. I am joking. For legal purposes, I am joking around. But yeah, again, I really love test shot prototypes, so seeing something like this is just really fun. She was allegedly sold on eBay a couple years back, and God, where was I when this was happening? I would have loved to buy a test shot. And of course, the last prototype that we'll be covering in this video is the update on this Draculaura. Thank you again to the viewer who owns this doll, who submitted better photos for us to see. We can see the individual brushstrokes much more clearly on the spider webs around her eyes as well as on her lips. It's beautiful, really. Like, the artistry that goes into creating a prototype is just so impressive. I really love seeing all the individuals' brushstrokes on the dolls' faces. I've never put that high of priority into looking for a hand-painted prototype. I'll admit my favorite type to own would be a test shot. I just think they're fun and funky. I like when they look different from how they're supposed to. But hand-painted prototypes are just gorgeous. They're so well made. The artistry, again, that goes into the face, the amount of skill that has to, the precision in each brushstroke, it's just beautiful. So, I admit I would love to own a hand-painted prototype. Again, just stunning work. Okay, I lied. The last prototype that I wanted to cover was actually this Elissabat. I meant to cover her in my last video, but I kind of ran over the 10-minute mark, and I was like, don't want to make this video too long, but I will make this one a bit longer. So this Elissabat is hand-painted. But not just that, she is also the same prototype that was used in these stock photos. You can tell because of the thickness of her fangs, just the way her eyes look in general, the hair. It's the same doll. It's so cool to see. She has a lot of differences between the final doll as well. Like, there's more detail put into her outfit, obviously. I think the lace at the bottom of her skirt looks different as well, and the boots are glossy. Because, you know, in the final doll, they're not glossy, they're more of a matte black, which makes sense, because they're plastic, they're not painted. But here, they're painted black, so they have a much glossier look to them. The original prototype doll here has the same hand mold that the final Elissabat has, but this one is wearing the standard hand mold, not the one where the two fingers are stuck together. You know what I mean. I'm assuming that this means that the original prototype's hands were lost and replaced. It seems likely to me because the hands are different here. I am actually friends with the person who owns this doll, and yeah, just a gorgeous prototype. I really wanted to talk about her. All in all, I just really love talking about prototypes, and one day I really hope that I can own something, like, cool. Like a super cool prototype. Like, this Frankie is elite. This is probably the coolest prototype I've ever seen. This Honey Swamp is incredible. I mean, again, I've never seen a 3D printed head like this. Hand-painted prototypes are not uncommon. Well, they are. It's very rare to come across one in the wild, but online you can see photos of them everywhere. It's pretty rare to see a 3D, like, printed head like this, though. Again, I have never seen this before. This is the first time I've ever seen it for myself, and it's cool. This Operetta is just really awesome, once again. I just love how different her face looks from the finalized doll. This Snowbite definitely confuses me. Don't understand why there's such minimal changes between this test shot and the final doll. I'm guessing it was easier to produce, like, the bottom part of her skirt before producing the rest of the doll. I don't know. I can't come up with an explanation for this girl that I like. Then, of course, Clawdeen. You know, it's just a standard test shot, but she's so pretty. This Draculaura, super cool. And then we get to the Elissabat. And yeah, she's awesome. Can't deny it. Overall, I just enjoy this topic. I love making videos on the subject. And as we get to see more Monster High prototypes, I really want to see more for G3. I feel like we've seen a lot for G3, and one of these days I definitely want to make a video going over every G3 prototype that we know of. So that includes the ones that we saw in, like, which ones have we seen? We've seen the ones on the Clawdeen bedroom playset. We saw the 3 from that, like, designer's blog. What else have we seen? We saw the ones that were referenced when they were making the movie. There's gotta be more out there, but obviously we haven't seen them all yet. Hopefully we'll get to see some more G3 prototypes soon, though, because, again, interesting topic. I enjoy talking about it. But yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps support the channel. And as always, I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!